The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
Aaron Rodgers is officially a Pittsburgh Steeler, which now opens up a prime opportunity for the New York Jets to shop a struggling veteran at the receiver position. And Darren Muji shouldn't think twice about making a deal. That and much more all coming up here on a Saturday afternoon edition of the Jake Asman Show. Let's go.
Man, our Jets are primed to win another offseason, baby.
I got just the guy to get us going tonight.
We bleed Jets green each and every day. Will the playoff drought finally end? Kings of the offseason, baby. This is what we do. At least we have Garrett Wilson. We have Breece Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super Chats, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinn Williams. Prepare to be underdogs. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show.
What is going on, everyone? Hello, and welcome back into the Jake Asman Show. We're here with you on this Saturday afternoon, June 7th, 2025. Make sure you smash that like button and hit subscribe on your way to the building. It's completely free, and it helps this channel grow significantly. Memberships get you in to the Jake Asman monthly membership raffle. Super Chats go a long way. They cut the line. They come up on the screen immediately. You have any questions for us, you can throw those in the chat. You can call into the show with the pinned comment. Hope everyone has had a great start to their weekend. Connor Long in for Jake Asman. Super happy to be here. Second time in the past week and a half, so super happy to be here. Shout out to Jake for this legendary opportunity as always. So super happy to be with all the ASMANIACS. Shout out to all you guys in the chat. You're the best. We appreciate all of your support, but kind of just want to dive into what I want to talk about today. And obviously, Aaron Rodgers, the signing with him officially landing in Pittsburgh with the Steelers. This is a move. This is a landing spot that's been talked about with Aaron Rodgers literally since the day the Jets made the decision to move on from the future Hall of Famer. So he's officially a Steeler, and it has an effect on the Jets. And I wrote an article about this for JetsXFactor.com the other day, because this now opens up a perfect opportunity for the New York Jets to shop veteran wide receiver Allen Lazard. And I know this is a very polarizing topic within the fan base. I don't understand why, because it's pretty simple. Allen Lazard is not rosterable when Aaron Rodgers is not his quarterback. In 2023, when Rodgers went down 4 plays into the year, Lazard played in 14 games, had just over 300 receiving yards with 1 touchdown, and had a 17.9% drop rate, which was the second worst among NFL wide receivers. That was without Aaron Rodgers during the 2023 season. Then in 2024, when Rodgers came in, his numbers increased a little bit. He got off to a hot start. Then injuries kind of derailed him a little bit, finished with 530 yards and 6 touchdowns in 12 games. But still, the biggest issue persisted, which was the drop rate. He had a 17.8% drop rate last year, which was the worst in the league, and a career-high 6 penalties. We know why the Jets like Allen Lazard. Aaron Glenn has said it. He's a great blocker. And I say this. I know it's the Parcells, the Aaron Glenn type thing to have really, really solid blocking receivers, which in my opinion is why they have Josh Reynolds. And I think Josh Reynolds can play that role for the Jets. Absolutely. I always say that when you have to talk about a receiver's blocking ability, they're really not that good of a receiver. And I think that's what it is with Allen Lazard. If you can bring in a day 3 pick for Allen Lazard, if that's a 5th rounder, if that's a 6th round pick, I'd be okay with it. You want to know why? You can't justify his numbers without Aaron Rodgers. You simply can't. And I don't want Allen Lazard, who's not going to be in this team's long-term plans, to be taking snaps away from a Malachi Corley, from an Arian Smith type guy, 2 young, elusive playmakers who I think can find a role in the offense. I don't want Allen Lazard to be the wide receiver too. I think the Jets have Josh Reynolds to provide that veteran presence who can help be a blocker. I don't think there's any chance for there's any reason that Lazard should be on this roster. I understand the Jets reworked his contract, accepted an $8.5 million pay cut, so his cap hit's relatively cheap this year, $4.6 million. That's cheap given the fact that he signed a 4-year, $44 million contract just a few off seasons ago. But now he's only guaranteed $1.75 million. And he's much more movable on the trade market. The whole thing before the Jets reworked this deal is no one was going to trade for Alan Lazard because of that crazy contract. No one wanted to touch that contract. Now, if the Jets looked to trade him, the team acquiring him, in this case, what I'm laying out is the Pittsburgh Steelers here, they'd only take a $2.25 million cap hit. A very, very cheap number. We heard from Jordan Schultz of Fox Sports that the Steelers are looking to add another playmaker. Why not Lazard for Pittsburgh? They need another receiver behind DK Metcalf. He obviously has the history with Aaron Rodgers. This is a move that would make sense for both sides here. And I don't think general manager Darren Muji should think twice about making this decision and looking to shop Alan Lazard on the trade market. I'm going to read you the Jets' main wide receiver room, the room that is projected to be on the roster here. Obviously, Garrett Wilson and wide receiver 1, but then, not counting Lazard, it's Josh Reynolds, Tyler Johnson, Xavier Gibson, Malachi Corley, and Arian Smith. Inserting Lazard in there or keeping him out doesn't change my stance overall on the receiver room any tiny bit. Not at all. So why not go out, try to get some sort of draft pick for him, even if it's a situation where you have to package Lazard and a 7th-round pick to get a 6th-round pick. That would make sense. I don't want Lazard on this team. I personally like the trade route, but the Jets can also look to cut him. They don't have a huge cap hit hanging over their heads now if they decide to cut him, thanks to the restructured deal. I want to see the young guys go out there and thrive. Arian Smith, Malachi Corley. I heard a lot of people say about Alan Lazard, well, he's a veteran leader. He brings a veteran presence. That's what they like about Alan Lazard. You have Josh Reynolds for that, who has the history with the coaching staff, has the history with Aaron Glenn. That's the guy I'm looking for to step into that veteran role. And quite frankly, I think Josh Reynolds is going to be the wide receiver 2 this season. Watching Josh Reynolds, looking at his numbers, I think he's a wide receiver 3 on a bad team, a wide receiver 4 on a good team. He can be the veteran guy who plays somewhat of a role on offense. Primarily, I'm looking at the young guys to step up and find a role into this offensive scheme. That's what I'm looking for. Not a guy who hasn't been able to produce without Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback. Not a guy who has had penalty issues over the past few years. By the way, Aaron Glenn does not stand for that. I know Aaron Glenn's praised Alan Lazard, that they're going to try to find a role for him. He's a great blocker. Aaron Glenn does not stand for a wide receiver committing 5-6 penalties a year. That's inexcusable. Not to mention the drop rate. It's just so frustrating when you watch Alan Lazard and you see him dropping all of these passes. I don't get it. I don't get the love from the fan base as to why the Jets should retain Alan Lazard. Don't you guys want to see the young guys come in, play a role in this offense? Don't you want to see the more deserving veteran leader in Josh Reynolds pick up the majority of the load here? The Jets aren't benefiting from keeping Alan Lazard on their roster this season. It's that simple. And I think the way they played that rework deal was a great move for the Jets, because now he's far more movable on the trade market. Like I mentioned, a team that trades for him would only have to inherit a $2.25 million cap hit. Or if you cut him, you can also save money. I think this is a situation what the Jets do with Lazard. I think if they're going to trade him, they do trade him before training camp. Or it's a situation where he's kind of competing for a role in training camp and see what he can do during training camp. And if not, he might be a guy they move on from on cutdown day. Again, I just don't see where Alan Lazard fits in on this offense. I don't get it. And I don't get the fascination from the fan base as to why it's so important to retain Lazard and keep him on this football team. Aaron Rodgers is here. Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback this year. Thank God he isn't for this Jets team. Then it's a different story. Then I understand why, okay, the guy put up over 500 yards with Aaron Rodgers under center. It's point blank, period. Lazard cannot do anything when Aaron Rodgers isn't his quarterback. Aaron Rodgers isn't here. Justin Fields is the quarterback here. And the role that Allen Lazard really has in the receiving game doesn't fit what I think the Jets are going to do with Justin Fields. Allen Lazard is a guy who, when you look at what he did with Aaron Rodgers, he's a guy that he wanted to get downfield, put in contested catch opportunities with his height at 6'4". The Jets, I think, are going to run a lot of quick passes. I don't think the Jets are going to push the ball down the field much. I think the Jets are going to run a lot of quick passes using Malachi Corley, using Arian Smith. And when they push the ball downfield, don't you want to see Arian Smith be the guy who they target all the way down the field and use his speed to create opportunities? I would. Again, Josh Reynolds can be the Allen Lazard who can come in and get you 200 receiving yards this year and play a role in the blocking game and be that leader. Not to mention, Josh Reynolds doesn't have drop issues as well, and he doesn't commit a lot of penalties. That's another thing I like about Josh Reynolds. For me, I'm taking Josh Reynolds over Allen Lazard all day, and that just comes down to the point why Allen Lazard should not be on this football team at all. Allen Lazard and Josh Reynolds pretty much have identical receiving numbers over the past few years. I'm rolling with the guy who has prior ties to this coaching staff. I'm rolling with the guy who fights after the catch every single play. I'm rolling with the guy who has a reputation around the league for being a leader in the locker room. That's the guy I'm taking over someone who's had a nearly 20% drop rate the past 2 years and hasn't done anything without Aaron Rodgers. And that's why I'm taking Josh Reynolds over Allen Lazard. And Allen Lazard, quite frankly, doesn't have a role on this football team for the 2025 season. We appreciate you all joining us here on this Saturday edition of the Jake Asman Show. Connor Long in for Jake Asman. Appreciate you all as maniacs in the chat. Make sure you smash that like button, hit subscribe. Super chats, memberships, they go to the Jake Asman weekly membership raffle. So get those in. You have any questions for me? Throw those in the chat. Super chats will come up immediately. If you guys want to call into the show, get on here, get on screen, give your thoughts about this team. You could do so by using the pinned comment at the top of the chat. We'll open up the hotline in a little, so load up those calls, please. I really want to hear what you guys have to say. But before we go any further, we have a new member, a new Asmaniac here on the channel, and Hamburger has officially renewed his YouTube membership here on the channel.
Now, give me money. Or I shoot him. And I shoot all you motherfuckers. And then we take it. Your choice, bitches.
Hamburger, appreciate you. You've become a member here on YouTube. Appreciate all of your support. As always, Julian Vasquez comes in with his 10-month member super chat. And he says, whomever bought me a membership, I appreciate it. 10 months going strong. I hope AG brings a Quincy in AZ blitz and puts that old man out. Go NYJ. Quincy Williams is going to be an interesting name to watch here on this team. Quincy Williams is going to be really, really, really interesting because the Jets just paid Jamien Sherwood 3 years, $45 million. That's what the Jets gave Jamien Sherwood. 3 years, $45 million, $30 million of it is guaranteed. Quincy Williams is getting up there in age for a linebacker. He's 28 years old. He's going to be 29 soon. He's entering the last year of his deal. Quincy Williams was an All-Pro in 2023. He had a down year last year. That's the simple way to put it. I think Quincy's really going to need to get back to All-Pro 2023 form if he wants a second contract with this team. Do I think he can do that? Absolutely. I think the spotlight, though, is going to be more on Jamien Sherwood, given the fact that I think he's going to be the new CJ Mosley. I think he's going to be the quarterback of the defense. He's going to be the guy all over the field making plays. So I think Sherwood's going to have a great year. But if Quincy Williams wants a second contract with this team, it's now or never. He has to show that he deserves a second contract this year. If I have to base my opinion off what I saw last year, I am not for paying Quincy Williams top linebacker money to come back on this football team. That's the bottom line for me. Quincy Williams is getting up there in age. I don't want to give a 28, soon-to-be 29-year-old a multi-year deal after a season where he was in top 15 linebacker. I'd say, in the NFL. I'm not comfortable paying 2 linebackers within the top 10 at their position group when one of them was great last year, was led the league in tackles for linebackers in Jamie Sherwood. Quincy Williams has to be. Quincy Williams has to come in and play a big role on this team if he wants to be a New York Jet for the long term. Absolutely. We have another 2-month member super chat coming in from our guy, the Dominican Destroyer Vargas. Appreciate you tuning in, my friend. He says, Connor out here spitting facts. Appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much for the 2-month member super chat. That's what I'm trying to do. Hey, there's some takes I have where the chat wholeheartedly agrees with me. There's some takes that I have where the whole chat completely disagrees with me and I get flamed, and then there's those in the middle. So appreciate that you guys are enjoying the Lazard take. And I honestly, when I came on here and I put up this topic, I thought there were going to be a lot of Lazard kind of truthers in here who were defending the fact that Lazard should be on the football team. I still don't understand why so much of this fan base is on board with keeping Allen Lazard on this team. David Quinn. We do have our Lazard. There he comes in. David, appreciate you tuning in. Says, why trade Lazard now? Still decent wide receiver, blocks very well for run game, and restructured contract is very cheap. For what? And for what? A 7th round pick, and we have to find another receiver that is worse. I'll tell you this right now, David. This is why we trade him. First off, Allen Lazard is not a decent receiver when Aaron Rodgers isn't his quarterback, which I mentioned. Aaron Rodgers is no longer here. He's an okay blocker. He's not a great blocker. Allen Lazard, let's get this straight. Allen Lazard is a good blocker. He's not a great blocker. He's not a guy I look at and I'm like, this guy is an incredible blocking wide receiver. He's an okay blocker. Again, we just say that because a lot of people say that because they just don't want to admit Allen Lazard does not deserve a spot on this football team. That's what a lot of people say, and contract is very cheap. Okay, perfect. I'll give you this. First off, they could save money by cutting him. Trading him would also take money off their cap. I'd much rather roll with Josh Reynolds. There's no point in keeping 2 guys who both are praised for their blocking, who are both veterans, who are both praised for their leadership. There's no point in keeping 2 of those guys. I'd rather keep Josh Reynolds, who I think there's a very high chance he could be the wide receiver too, which is a little concerning in my opinion. I love Josh Reynolds. I think Josh Reynolds is a great leader. I think Josh Reynolds is an okay receiver. He's not a wide receiver too at the NFL level. I digress, however. I'd much rather keep Josh Reynolds. I'm not keeping 2 veterans with the same skill set in this receiver room when there's so many young guys who can come in and make an immediate impact. I don't get the point in keeping Lazard. He's not a decent receiver without Aaron Rodgers. He blocks okay, and I think you can get draft capital for him on the trade market while retaining a guy with that same skill set in Josh Reynolds. That's the way I look at it. Our guy Jack comes in. Jack, appreciate you tuning in. And he says, trade Lazard to Pittsburgh for a 6th. Trade a 5th to Green Bay for Romeo Doubs. This is interesting because after the Packers drafted Savion Williams, after they drafted Matthew Golden in the 1st round, Romeo Doubs is kind of a name that's come up as a potential trade option on the trade market. Look, I'm all open to bringing in Romeo Doubs, and if you can get a 6th round pick for Allen Lazard, sign me up. I said I'd do it for a 7th round pick. You can get a 6th round pick for Allen Lazard, then trade a 5th round pick for Romeo Doubs. I would absolutely love that. The Packers are not trading Romeo Doubs for a 5th round pick. A 4th and 2 6th round picks, I think they'd do it. I think Romeo Doubs would fit great into this Jets offense. He's 25 years old, has been a red zone threat all 3 years throughout his NFL career. He's picked up some high yardage marks. Romeo Doubs, great contested catch guy. Romeo Doubs, I think, would fit great into this Jets offense. And if you can kind of get a pick in the Lazard deal and then reallocate it towards bringing in Doubs, I think that'd be great work of art from Darren Muji. So completely on board with this comment here from Jack. Let's see. Robert comes in with a $2 super chat. Appreciate you, my friend Robert. Robert says Lazard is good for 1 Hail Mary. That's it. Amen. Amen. There's just, again, I'm going to repeat what I've said 80 times today. There's no role for him on this team's offense. There's really not. And Aaron Rodgers isn't here anymore. Sayonara, Alan Lazard. Jets have showed everything. They want to completely erase the Aaron Rodgers era. So one more step, which is moving on from Lazard, would fully cement that. I'm all on board again. Alan Lazard does not deserve to be a New York Jet. Rick Kent has been a member for 21 months. Rick, we appreciate you. He says, Connor, right now the Jet offense is a mystery to the league. I don't think it's wise to trade him to Pittsburgh after he's learned the playbook. Are you saying, after he's learned the Rodgers playbook? I don't know. Or after, I don't think it's wise to trade him to Pittsburgh after. Oh, are you saying you think he's going to use it against the Jets week 1? Okay, my bad. Sorry, it took me a little while to understand that. I'm just picking up what you're saying. I wouldn't put too much thought into that personally, Rick. I really wouldn't. I don't think that would play a big factor in the Jets' decision. Again, what I mentioned at the top of the show is if they trade him, I think he will be traded before training camp. I think if they trade him, they're going to trade him right before training camp. If they don't trade him before training camp, I don't think he's getting traded. The way I can see him, the way I could see him and the Jets parting ways if they don't trade him before training camp is they cut him maybe before cutdown day. I think if the Jets are to move on from him, it's before training camp. I see what you're saying here, Rick. He says, remember, McCole Harbin set the playbook to the other teams. But yeah, again, if they trade him, I think it is before training camp. I don't think this is a situation where they wait until after training camp and then decide to move on from him. I don't think that would make much sense from the Jets. We'll go to one more super chat, and guys, keep the super chats coming, please. They help this channel grow significantly, along with the gifted memberships and gifted memberships enter you into the AsManiac membership raffle. Jojo comes in with a $20 super chat. Jojo, thank you so much. You get 3 bombs. Thank you so much, Jojo, for the $20. You're the bestest. Hey, Connor, thanks for the great show today. Jojo, my friend, your support goes a long way. Appreciate you and appreciate your kind words as always. Thank you so much for the $20 super chat. Again, keep the questions coming. Super chats come up immediately. Keep the questions coming. Appreciate you all. Smash that like button. Hit subscribe. Connor Long in for Jake Asman here on this Saturday afternoon edition of the Jake Asman Show. You guys can call into the show with the pinned comment. We're going to open the phone lines. If you want to find my work, you could do so in the description down below. NY Flake Jets Talk on YouTube. Shoot me a sub, please. Goes a long way. Appreciate your support. We're going to get back to daily Jets Talk on that channel starting Monday. Starting tomorrow, excuse me. So appreciate you all tuning in, and we appreciate all of your support. Starting us off here on the hotline here on this Saturday afternoon is the great Kyle Clifton.
What's going on, Connor Long?
Not much, Kyle. Just enjoying the weekend. How about yourself?
Yeah, it's a busy day today. I got my girls out at a birthday party
Awesome.
this morning. And I got my niece's graduation party in the late afternoon, and then a 50th birthday party later tonight. So
Jam-packed weekend for the Cliftons.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to, kind of agree with you wholeheartedly about Lazard. Like, I don't get the fear of what Lazard is going to do if he gets to Pittsburgh, right? Like, if you talk about only getting a 7th round pick back, hopefully we can get a 6th, a 7th goes back in the deal.
Yeah.
When you get those picks, they become the ability to go up in the draft and get a player you like. That is the nature of the draft. Right? You move around, you get to slots where you find value, and you take down that value for players that'll fit your system players you like, players that you see something in that other teams maybe don't.
Absolutely.
So that's why, like, that plus I think it's 2.4 million in savings.
Correct. You save money now because of that reworked deal, and I think that's why the reworked deal plays such a big role into him being more movable now on the trade market. Or if you cut him, you're not losing money.
Right, and if people think that we're creating a great hole in our wide receiver room, we may not. I don't really feel that way. The guy is a good blocker. That 2.4 million could be used to add a defensive tackle that we passed on in the draft, because those drafted defensive tackles are going to be pushing guys across the league off the roster in training camp. So that's where you go when you get these guys in the post-draft market, in the post-training camp market, guys who have stuff left that you simply don't want to pay anymore because of a number that they're at on your books, and it's time to part ways with them. As far as like the playbook and stuff, I love and I revere Rick Kent, but I think McCole Hardman is kind of an outlier in that case.
Also, McCole Hardman, let's keep in mind, this is something that happened during the regular season. The playbook for the Jets is a lot different during the preseason. It's different concepts, different schemes. That happened during the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was just being spiteful and, excuse my language, dick. But, I mean, there's no other way to kind of characterize it, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good way to get, never just effectively end your NFL career.
It's the antithesis of professional behavior, and it's not what Aaron Glenn expects of his players. I don't anticipate that Alan Lazard would do that. But, if there's an opportunity for us to speed our rebuild, and we know that Lazard's not going to be here beyond this year, and we can kind of accommodate the player and help him resuscitate his career, I don't think in an individual game he is going to be a factor against us. That's the bottom line, and I think that the benefit does outweigh any perceived minuses. That's my feeling on it. You're doing a great job, Connor. Have a great weekend.
Kyle, appreciate it. Same to you, my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, Kyle Clifton joining us here on the show. Kyle, great call. Appreciate you starting off, and we appreciate all the kind words here on the show. Let's keep it going with your calls, and then we will get back to all your super chats, all your questions. I see all of them. Don't worry. We will get back to those shortly. Appreciate all of your support. Next up is V-Man, who joins us here on the show.
It's time for another V-Man call. Hopefully he not sleeping. Adios mio.
What's going on, V-Man?
Hey, Connor, how you doing?
Can't complain. How's your weekend thus far?
It's been all right, Usually, been all right. I came back from a barbecue yesterday. Me and my sister's group are marching in Sunday's Puerto Rican Day Parade.
Awesome.
So we had some people. We invited some people over from similar activist groups in Puerto Rico that came, and we held a barbecue to welcome them. I did all the grilling, because she can't, because no one else wanted to do it.
Yeah. So that's what's on tap in the V-Man household this weekend.
Yeah, no, it was fun visiting. I was in the city. We were in Brooklyn, just chilling, grilling, drinking beer, fireball, usual shit.
You got any jet points you want to get in here?
Yeah, no, with the Lazard thing, I agree with you, and I think another thing that we got to remember is another point with this trade is you might get more than what you expect because it's Rodgers, and we know how Aaron Rodgers is. It's like how he operates, and we know how he is, and he likes to have his guys around. Like we know, like we had to bring in, like when we were courting him back. Remember, we brought in his coaches, his players, and we know for a fact that he's not changed his mentality in any bit. So he's going to be there in Pittsburgh. Like, I want my guys. Like, he is going to want his guys. So the Steelers are going to have to bring him. So the Steelers, I will bet my bottom dollar that he is going to put pressure on the Steelers front office to bring in guys for him and him alone. And so I could see it where maybe you get a bit more than what you expect because because of that factor. It was like, I want this, get this done now.
V-Man Genergy says, "What group are you marching with? I usually march, but this year I will be in the VIP stands."
It's a new group. This is just they're celebrating their first year anniversary. It's called I don't remember what the acronym stands for because it's in Spanish. It's called Hoopy, but I don't remember what the acronym spells out for. I could not tell you.
Any final thoughts, V-Man?
Well, yeah. Also, I know people have been talking about Aaron Rodgers. It's like him going to the Steelers, like, oh, this big deal, and we're gonna lose game 1 and everything. Now it's a certain loss in the Doomers and the fan base. We gotta remember what's Aaron Rodgers. Number one, is we know Aaron Rodgers. Number one, I don't think this move is gonna work out for the Steelers, in my honest opinion. I think this is just the Steelers are pretty much the Saints of the AFC. Stubbornly refusing to admit that their glory days are behind them and that they need to just scrap everything and start all over. Because let's be real here, I don't think like their defense, their so-called most expensive defense in the NFL, couldn't tackle when it mattered. They can't tackle when it mattered. Like you watch that game against the Ravens in the playoffs. They couldn't. I don't think they could have tackled my grandmother, and she's just a jar of dust. I'm just saying. Look,
I don't get why we're intimidated by Aaron Rodgers.
And then here's the other thing: is Arthur Smith and Aaron Rodgers' offenses they operate are oil and water, completely different from one another. So who's the battle? Someone called me. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, no,
I got you.
Yeah, no, because it was a call. Yeah, so. You got Aaron Rodgers, so you have that. You have the oil and water there. Then, like we know Aaron Rodgers, and we know that it takes him a while to get chemistry with his wide receivers. I mean, 2 off seasons in, he was still struggling to get on the same page with Garrett Wilson. And let's be real, Garrett Wilson is a far more polished wide receiver than DK Metcalf. So
Absolutely.
You really think he's going to be able to get
DK Metcalf is a lot different of a type of receiver that Aaron Rodgers usually favors. Let's keep that in mind as well. That's another reason why a Lazard trade could make sense. He has no familiar faces in that offense. He doesn't have a receiver he's ever played with before. He doesn't have a receiver, in my opinion, who he truly trusts.
Exactly. When he doesn't trust a wide receiver, he refuses to throw them the ball. And then you have that offensive line, which they gave up more sacks than we did. Yeah. It's like, look, I don't think everybody's sitting here who thinks it's somehow the slam dunk that's going to take the Steelers back to 2008. Calm down, take a deep breath, and look at the reality. Because, like, I'm sitting here and I'm telling you, like, this is going to mark my words. This is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back in the Tomlin era of Pittsburgh.
Interesting.
That's the end of that V-Man call. Now he can go back to sleeping.
V-Man, appreciate you checking in on the show. Great points. Great call from you, my friend. Before we get back to the phone lines, and I see you all backstage, so keep loading those up. You can call into the show with the pinned comment at the top of the chat. We have a $20 super chat from Mimosa. I said Mimosa because I'm scrolling on the side of these videos here, and the Mimosa membership video is literally right in front of my face. Another incredible member of the 5% female demographic. Genergy comes in with a $20 super chat. Genergy, thank you so much for all your support on the show.
Show me the money. Show me the money! Money.
There you go.
Thank you so much for the $20 super chat. Generally comes in and says, can we get Chris Olave? Also, can we get a Connor Long internship with the front office? Let's go, Connor. Hey, the second part, we got to talk to the Jets about that. That's a dream of mine. Working for the Jets. That's in the front office too. That's like a dream of mine. I appreciate the kind words, Genergy. But when it comes to Chris Olave is really interesting. Number one, I don't think the Saints are going to trade him. I think he ultimately stays in New Orleans. If the Jets were to trade for him, though, it's interesting because he has 2 years left on his current deal. He has a $6 million cap hit this year and a $15 million cap hit next year. So not so much of a cap hit this year and then a larger cap hit next year. I think it would be something like a 2nd and a 5th round pick to bring Chris Olave here. the value doesn't the trade value, what you'd have to give up to bring him in isn't that bad. But you have to keep in mind 2 years from now you have to sign him to a new extension. So you also have to keep that in mind as well when it comes to trying to trade for a veteran a younger wide receiver like Chris Olave. So it'd be something like a second and a fifth round pick, but you'd also have to sign him to a new deal in just 2 years. That's what I have to say regarding Chris Olave and what a trade package would look like. Robert comes back in with a $2 super chat and says, "I think you're better than Jake. Don't tell Jake." Well, Robert, Jake's the GOAT, so I'm not better than Jake, but I appreciate the kind words, my friend, and I appreciate all of your support here on the show. You're the best. Jay comes in, says, "Hit the like. Let's pump up Connor's numbers so we can get more Connor and less Beast and Bobby." I appreciate the kind words, Jay, but Beast and Bobby are GOATs, so we also have to keep that in mind as well. I appreciate the support, though. Yes, guys, please hit the like button. Please hit subscribe. It's completely free, and it helps the channel grow significantly. Connor Long in for Jake Asman here on this Saturday edition of the Jake Asman Show. You want to find my work? I do daily Jets content on my channel, NY Flight Jet Stock. Scroll down in the description down below, and my link is right there. So we appreciate all of your support, and keep the questions and super chats coming along with the gifted memberships. They go a long way. We appreciate all of your support. Let's go back to the phone lines. Next up here on the hotline is our good friend Thunderlips, who joins the show.
Hey.
Thunderlips, how you doing, my friend?
Doing good. How you doing, Connor?
Can't complain. How's your weekend thus far?
A lot of adulting, mowing the lawn and everything like that.
Not fun.
But hey, so just wanted to touch in with the whole, with Aaron Rodgers not getting on the same page early in the season. It's like that's the same thing that could happen with us. I mean, who says that Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson are going to just pop off week one? We have a new offensive coordinator, new head coach, so we could be slow too. But the thing that I'm really looking forward to is looking at Membu, because he's probably going to be going up against TJ Watt, the whole game.
Yep.
Last year we played the Steelers, we double teamed them, and we didn't let TJ Watt get just, free. We got murdered by everybody else, but it wasn't TJ Watt. But like his first game, as a rookie, is going to be going up against one of the premier pass rushers in the league. So that should be an interesting aspect to the game as well,
For sure. I mean, when you're going up against one of the greatest defensive ends in all time, I think that's safe to say right now about TJ Watt, the way he's kind of played the past 5 to 7 seasons. It's certainly going to be a tough test. Am I going to be sold out on Membu right away if he allows 2 sacks from TJ Watt? Absolutely not, but I completely agree. It's going to be a good test to see the guy you just used a top 10 pick on in this year's NFL draft line up against, my opinion, the greatest defensive end in the NFL right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much when you're a fan of a team. There's so many aspects and little facets to look at and get excited about. Even when we suck, it's like looking at the rookies and having a glimmer of hope to keep you interested in watching. But I'll let you go, brother. Have a good weekend and keep up the good work, man.
Thunderlips, you're the best. Appreciate the kind words and appreciate all of your support here on the program. Thunderlips, you're the best. Appreciate you. Great point that was brought up there. Again, if Memble allows 2 sacks, I'm not going to be out of my mind. I'm not going to be like, why'd we just use the number 7 overall pick on this guy? But it's certainly going to be an interesting test. I mean, if he balls out and, allows 1 pressure instead of 6 is what I'd probably be expecting. It's a great game from Membu. So great call out there from Thunderlips. I didn't even think of that. Our guy Fastest Food Review, Chef Kevin comes in, $2. Connor, my dude, keep doing your thing, bro. Chef, appreciate the kind words and appreciate your super chat here on the program. You're the best. Jake checks in with a $5 super chat of his own. Jake, thanks so much. He says, Connor is so good at this. Thanks for holding it down, everyone. Everyone sub to his channel, F. Allen. While we're at it, Jake, you're the best. Appreciate the kind words again. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Did last Friday, so super happy to be back here on the show again. Jake, you're the best. Hope you having a safe trip up to the Poconos. Appreciate the kind words and appreciate all of your support here on the program. And let's see, where were we in the chat here? Hep comes in, says, be ready for the long passing game. JF7 has a strong arm, good offensive line, and Smith can get down the field fast. That is when you stack the box. So interesting comment here. I think the Jets will push the ball downfield from time to time. I don't think it's going to be as consistent as most people tend to think. That's what I'll Sorry, I don't know why I was muted there for a second. I don't think Justin Fields is going to throw the ball a ton this year. That's one of the bottom lines for me. I don't think Justin Fields is going to be, throwing up 30, 40 pass attempts a game. I think it's more in that 20 to 25 range, and that's one of the reasons I don't see the ball getting pushed down the field so often. Like, let's say Justin Fields, which I think will happen, Justin Fields throws the ball 22 times a game. I think 5 to 7 of those are quick passes, and I think the rest are, 5-10 yard slants across the middle of the field. I like the traits that they have with Arian Smith. Maybe I see like 2 to 3 deep chucks down the field, try to get Arian Smith. People always talk about his deep threat and him being able to get down the field. I like that. But people also forget speed could be utilized very, very well in the screen game. So also look out for Arian Smith to contribute in that facet as well. So that's what I'll say regarding what I think the Jets' offensive game plan will be this season. Let's keep it going with your calls, though. Next up here on the show, an absolute legend who I don't think we've heard from in a while. Mikey Midnight joins us.
Hey, how you doing? You hear me?
How you doing?
Good to see you, Carnival. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. I appreciate the kind words.
Yeah, you're doing a great job. You know that?
Now I do, after I heard it from Mikey Midnight. Appreciate you, my friend.
Yeah, and the Jets go win the Super Bowl next year. The Jets go win the Super Bowl. I guarantee you.
That's the goal. Hey, they win the Super Bowl with Justin Fields. There's going to be a statue built for him outside MetLife Stadium. We got you, Mikey? Mikey going once. Mikey going twice. Mikey going 3 times. Mikey, we got you?
Yeah, hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Hey, Carnival, you're doing a good job with Jake's show. You think you know Jake's show?
Sorry? What'd you say? You cut out there for a second.
Yeah, when is that game starts with the Pittsburgh? 8 o'clock?
They better beat Pittsburgh, Mikey.
Yeah, they're going 35-17. 35-17.
35-19. You heard that from Mikey Midnight. Mikey, we appreciate the kind words and appreciate all of your support. He has the Jets winning 35-19 against Pittsburgh. Watch that prediction come to fruition. Hey, game 1 of the season, you want the Jets to start off strong. And I think they certainly can against Pittsburgh. Again, I don't know why people are so daunted and intimidated by Aaron Rodgers. I'm really not. Not at all. Main event A says Amari Cooper. Why not get him? So Amari Cooper is an interesting one. I want to bring in a second veteran wide receiver. Reasons I don't think the Jets will do it. This guy, a guy who's been riddled with injuries over the past few seasons. He's getting up there in age. He's 30 years old right now. I don't think the Jets will do it, but I want another veteran established pass catcher, and one of those names could be Amari Cooper. So certainly look out for that. I'd love to bring Amari Cooper, and I don't think it's going to happen. Yo Holmes comes in and says, Connor, do you still think that Garrett Wilson is an average wide receiver? Oh, God, those were fun times a few months ago when I made that take. That is not what I said in my take at all. What I said is Garrett Wilson is an average to slightly above average wide receiver 1. I consider an average wide receiver 1 in the top 15 to 17. I have Garrett Wilson I think I have it up at 13 in my rankings. So, 13 or 12, one of those two. That said, he is in slightly above average wide receiver 1. I don't get why that's so hard to comprehend. Like I think, can he be a top 10 wide receiver? Absolutely. You pay guys based on what you think they can do. Right now, I think he's a slightly above average wide receiver 1, ranking 12 or 13th in the league, somewhere in that range. That's the way I kind of evaluate Garrett Wilson. Eli says we need all the wide receiver help we can get. I know people hate Lazard, but why trade him if we don't have an established replacement? Lazard isn't established without Aaron Rodgers. So I wouldn't consider him an established receiver in this case. I don't think anyone the Jets have. I've mentioned this in about 50 articles for Jets X Factor. Behind Garrett Wilson, the Jets don't have any established options. Point blank, period. It's Garrett Wilson, and that's it. Dre says, Connor, what about Breece Hall? Breece Hall is interesting. I wouldn't extend Breece Hall. Breece Hall in my opinion, was an average to. So in 2023, I thought Breece Hall was a top 5 NFL running back. During the 2023 season, he played like a top 5 NFL running. Breece Hall was that guy. Last year, it was not the case. Breece Hall struggled immensely, a ton of fumbling issues, a lot of drops, wasn't breaking tackles. So last year, I'd say I consider him slightly above below average after what he showed last year. I think he had like 4 or 5 fumbles last year. The drops in the receiving game were a massive concern. I think Breece Hall, he looked like he just lost his elusiveness that we saw in 2023. All that elusiveness, him creating home run plays, him making a huge impact on the game, him being a game wrecker. We didn't see that element last year, and that's what concerns me immensely. That's my concern with Breece Hall. Kyle Clifton with a $20 super chat. Kyle, thank you so much for all your support on the channel. He says, here's to the GOAT in waiting. Appreciate you, Kyle. These are ways to improve with Lazard's cap money when building with youth. Don't underestimate the ability to be nimble with cap or carried over to 26. Take advantage of players other teams can't keep. Exactly. Allocate that money towards a defensive tackle who's cut on cut down day. Allocate that money to a tight end who's a strong blocking tight end who's cut on cut down day. That's where you look to allocate that money towards. That's how you can take an advantage of a Lazard trade, like you mentioned there. Great point from Kyle. Johnny Boy says, what would it take to bring Terry McLaurin to the Jets? And what would it take? So this is similar to Chris Olave. This is interesting. Terry McLaurin is, for those who are wondering, Terry McLaurin is holding out right now, technically, because he's entering the final year of his contract. What it would take to trade for Terry McLaurin, the value would not be crazy. I'd be, again, in that same range, a second and a 5th round pick, a second and a 6th round pick. The thing is, you have to pay him a big deal. You have to give him $25 million a year. He's looking for a 4-year, $100 million deal. That's what he's looking for. And that's what I don't think the Jets can do. I don't think the Jets are going to pay. The Jets can afford that. If they want to keep both Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson, they can't trade for Terry McLaurin. You can't be paying 2 wide receivers over $100 million. You can't. While trying to make someone one of, if not the highest paid cornerback in the NFL. Trade package isn't crazy. It's the contract that comes with it. Allen comes in and says, why aren't we able to find day 3 wide receivers in UDFA ERs who contribute immediately, and we struggle to do so? Is this a scouting issue? We'll see. Because the scouts in this year's draft, the way scouting contract works is they're kind of contracted by draft. So the scouts from this year's draft primarily were from Joe Douglas's regime. There were a few of them who Darren Muji brought in at the last minute for this year's draft. They couldn't have made that much of an impact. But primarily, these were all Joe Douglas guys. So we'll see, because next draft, they're pretty much all going to be Darren Muji's guys. We'll see if that's a scouting issue. An undrafted free agent wide receiver, I'm telling you, don't be worried. Don't be surprised if he makes an impact. Jamal Pritchett from South Alabama said the day they sign him, and we'll say that every single day. Jamal Pritchett can make a huge impact on this team as a spark plug, as a speedy receiver. Look out for Jamal Pritchett. Yeti says, Connor, stop embellishing Breece's mistakes. They were minimal. He had a decent season on a horrible team with like 12 carries a game. The coaching wasn't great, but he was not good by any means, Yeti. His mistakes were pretty significant. He had an awful year last year. I'm not sugarcoating anything. He had an awful year. He had 6 fumbles last year. 6 fumbles. You couldn't trust him with the ball in his hands. Maybe that's why he had like 12 carries a game. Because he fumbled the ball 6 different times. He didn't have a great year. He couldn't break tackles. He didn't have that big play home run ability, which is why we all love Breece Hall. He didn't bring that to the table last year. It's not really embellishing over his mistakes. It's just admitting to the fact that he was not a good football player last year. I don't understand why it takes people a long time to just come through and admit he wasn't great. Jets worldwide, it's hard to soar like an eagle when you're surrounded by turkeys. Again, I said the coaching wasn't great. The scheme was terrible last year, but he was not good. Like, can we at least admit that he was not good? Garrett Wilson still had 1,000 yards. Devontae Adams still thrived. Isaiah Davis still came in and made some plays. Tyler Conklin still produced. Some of the players weren't at their best, obviously, last year. Every player, I think, could have improved upon something last year. But just admit Breece Hall was not good. Obviously, fumbling has nothing to do with the scheme here, right, around the Storm. What I'm saying is his home run ability. What I think had to do with the scheme is the fact that they're saying he got minimal opportunities. And wasn't put. They're saying he wasn't getting in space, but some of the vision that Breece Hall had on plays last year was absolutely abysmal, and incompetent. So again, I don't understand why we can't come to that conclusion that just Breece Hall was not a good football player last year. Appreciate you all tuning in. Smash that like button, hit subscribe here on this Saturday edition of the Jake Asman Show. Connor Long in for Jake Asman. You want to find my work, you want more Jet talk from me, you could subscribe to my YouTube channel with the link in the description down below. No one on the phone lines right now, so if you want to call in and you want to come up immediately, no line, you can call in with the pinned comment at the top of the chat. We will definitely go back to the phone lines again. We've gone through all the questions here, so if you have any more questions, keep those coming. We will continue to get to those. So keep the questions coming, call into the show with the pinned comment. No wait on the phone lines. Appreciate you all. Let's see. Where are we in the chat here? Where are we again? Keep the questions coming. We can definitely get to those. King and Dreams comes in with $2. Appreciate you, King and Dreams. Says, are you filling in for Jake every Saturday? Jake is driving up to the I filled in for Jake last Friday. Jake is driving up to the Poconos right now, so I'm filling in for Jake. Don't think it's every Saturday, not to my understanding. I appreciate the support, though, King and Dreams. Hope you're enjoying the content. Appreciate your support on the show. Thank you for the $2 super chat again. Throw all your questions in the chat. Call into the show with the pinned comment. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Joining us up next, an absolute legend here on the show, the great Gator McCluskey joins us. Gator, how you doing, my friend?
What are you doing, buddy?
Hey, just hanging out. Just hanging out, enjoying the weekend.
You're doing a great job. I'm really
impressed.
impressed. You know, I mean, you get more compliments probably than you deserve, though, I think.
Appreciate that.
No, that's not true.
I appreciate
you don't get
it.
enough. You don't get enough. Yeah, so I do have a bone to pick with you, though.
Oh, hey now.
Yeah, you know, let's go back to something you said earlier.
Yep.
You said there's no place for Lazard on this team.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know that?
So Lazard's skill set, I think, is pretty much firm without Aaron Rodgers. He's going to contribute as a blocker. And
just stop. Wait, but when you say without Aaron Rodgers,
mm-hmm.
I know that comes up a lot. Lazard without Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
Who else has Lazard played with as his quarterback through his career?
Zach Wilson, Tim Boyle, Trevor Siemian.
Stop. He's only done well with Aaron Rodgers. So look at the other quarterbacks that throw him the ball. Do you see how that kind of doesn't make sense?
I get what you're saying. I understand.
Has Lazard had the opportunity to play with a quarterback that's an actual bona fide starter? Like, let's say
we don't know if Justin Fields is a bona fide starter.
We don't know that. But how is it that you constantly refer to Lazard as he's nothing without Rodgers, yet you tell me his quarterbacks, that the other quarterbacks that he's played with, are absolute garbage, right?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. My whole point is there's a caveat with that. You mentioned that the quarterbacks, the other quarterbacks he hasn't played with aren't good. We still have to say he hasn't produced with those quarterbacks. There's a caveat there, but he still has been a liability, hasn't produced. For me, it's other issues that also stem, no matter who's the quarterback is. He had the highest drop rate in the league last year. He had the second highest in 2023. He committed 5 penalties in 2023 and a career high 6 last year. My whole
wasn't there a point last year where he was the touchdown reception leader on the team?
Yeah, first 4 weeks of the season, I think 4 or 5 weeks.
First 4 or 5 weeks where we were actually good and looked like we were some sort of a possible playoff team, right?
Who was the quarterback though?
Aaron Rodgers.
This is.
But again, who is his quarterback when you claim that he can only deal with, with Aaron Rodgers is the only quarterback he's ever had success with, but these other
I
quarterbacks that he's
understand. He
played
still
with
has to
are
produce.
absolute garbage, right?
I mean, we
But
don't know what
and
Justin
another
Fields is
thing,
as a passer. Justin Fields last year was great, in my
yeah,
opinion, great as a passer.
but how do you give up
2022,
on
he was just bad offensively.
Lazard though? How do you give up on Lazard not knowing what he's going to be like with a quarterback that's potentially better than Zach Wilson?
I give up on Lazard given the fact that you have someone who's been able to play with multiple different quarterbacks and Josh Reynolds, who brings a similar skill set to the table as Lazard. His play's pretty much identical. He
Right, but that
contributes.
has nothing to do with Lazard, though. That has nothing to do with Lazard.
Well,
Lazard has only had success with a Hall of Fame quarterback, but when he's played with absolute garbage, he hasn't been good. That's my main point. I mean, and there's other things too. And I'm playing some games with you here, but do you remember this tweet?
I do. Is that the day he signed the rework deal?
No, that's the day where the fans were sort of giving him shit, saying, we want you out of here, kind of thing. And he put up that tweet basically saying, I'm not going nowhere. I don't know. You might not be old enough to watch Wolf of Wall Street,
I've seen I saw that tweet. Yes, I remember that.
Have you seen the movie?
I have not seen the movie, but I've heard
Okay,
great
well,
things about it.
Another couple of years when you can get to see it, because it's one of the funniest movies ever made. But that particular quote right there tells me that Alan Lazard wants to be a Jet. Now, look, if he doesn't want to be a Jet, I want him out, right? But my hope is that Glenn comes to him and says, do you want to be here or do you want us to trade you? Let him make the call, because I believe that if the player wants to be here, I think Lazard deserves a shot, because not only has he proven that he's reworked his contract, he's worked really hard. He is a great blocker. And I think ultimately he could be a benefit to the team that, give up on this guy. And then what? We give him to Rodgers and you say, oh, he's great with Rodgers, right? Well, let's not help Rodgers kick our ass week 1. Let's hold on to Lazard. And if he isn't any good, then we'll trade him by the trade deadline or something. We'll get rid of him. But right now, he seems like we don't have like a wealth of these great wide receivers.
I understand what you're saying.
I kind of believe that it's short-sighted to just say let's just get rid of the guy and not look at the fact that he's only played poorly under real shit quarterbacks.
I completely understand what you're saying. One of my other things is I would much rather the ceiling with Lazard, in my opinion, isn't that high. I think he's saying he's been great with Rodgers. I think he's been an okay wide receiver.
I agree. I agree with
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I would much rather see Arian Smith and Malachi Corley each have 5 targets a game than see Alan Lazard have, 8 targets a game and those guys barely get involved in the game plan. This year, for me, I view more of an experimental year. See what you have in these younger guys. Give them an opportunity to prove their worth. The bottom line for me is I don't think Alan Lazard's in this team's future plans. I think he's here for this year, and I think if he's on the team, I think he's here for this year, and then they move on from him next year when the contract expires.
Sure.
I would much rather
or he leads the team in touchdowns like he did last year by midseason, and you're like, oh my God, thank God we have Alan Lazard, which I heard a lot of Jet fans say. Thank God we have Alan Lazard. This is the thing, even about Rodgers. It's like, there were times where if you think about after the Patriots game, you think about after the Halloween game, where every Jet fan thought he was the greatest thing since sliced bread. But, things change, and then all of a sudden everybody hates him, and there's a lot of extreme hate out there that I don't get for a guy that took a $35 million pay cut. He tried to come back the same year as his Achilles tear, was voted best teammate by his teammates, played all 17 games as a 41-year-old. I mean, the list goes on and on. So we can continue to hate on this guy. And you know what? Week 1, we can definitely hate on him, but he sacrificed a lot. And the fact of the matter is he's going into year 2 off that Achilles injury. He's going to be better. I got to warn you. Okay. Because year 1 off an Achilles injury, there's going to be he's not going to be 100%. He probably only played for us at 80%, scoring 28 touchdowns, by the way, and 11 interceptions, which ties one of his.
In the league.
Excuse me?
Said second most passing attempts in the league. Let's keep that in mind there.
Okay, yeah. Well, still, there's a lot of quarterbacks out there
with his offensive coordinator.
28 touchdowns on their.
I think Aaron Rodgers. It's going to help him health wise that he's 1 year removed, 2 years, now removed from the Achilles tear. But the situation he's in right now is so much worse than the situation he had with the Jets. He has a offensive coordinator. I don't see him and Arthur Smith gelling at all when it comes to which scheme they're going to prioritize. The weapons that DK Metcalf, not taking anything away from him, great wide receiver. Aaron Rodgers has rarely properly utilized a receiver with the same skill set as DK Metcalf. They're starting running backs Jalen Warren. Like, the situation he was in with the Jets was 10 times better than where he is now with the Steelers.
Mike Tomlin
has never had an offense that has finished above top 15, top 17 in the league in total scoring. Like, Mike Tomlin, they're a defensive team.
Jeff Ulbrich, Mike Tomlin.
Two defensive
You're saying that.
Oh, I think it's more so
not better off with the Steelers and Mike Tomlin than he was with the Jets and Jeff Ulbrich. There's going to be a huge advantage for Rodgers working under that guy.
Well, Mike Tomlin's more defensive. Mike Tomlin has never been able to maintain a quarterback to have them win a playoff game since
But
Ben
the Steelers
Roethlisberger.
win. They win all the time. They're
Not
in
in
the
the
playoffs
playoffs,
every year.
No, they always get off to it. All their wins are from their defense, though. They never have a great offense.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was actually shocked to find out that that Terry Bradshaw's number has not been retired. I think that's insane.
That's
absolutely
crazy.
Insane. There's only 4 Steelers that have had their numbers retired, and Bradshaw's not.
Any quarterback who wins a Super
Bowl. So
the
number 12 is available, but the Steelers have never let anybody wear it. So,
is it in the Ring of Honor? He's in the Ring of. He has to, right?
He must be, but
yeah,
I have the number 12 retired. He's got 4 Super Bowl wins. It's insane.
That's crazy.
Well, anyway, I wanted to give you a hard time.
No problem. Appreciate it. And hey, we agree to disagree. We're all Jet fans, though, and we all want to see Aaron Rodgers. We all want to kill Aaron Rodgers week 1, whether you want.
No, we want to beat him. We want to beat him bad.
Yes.
But he might put 6 touchdowns up against us and then retire the next day. That would be very Jet-like, right?
I'm not intimidated. I'll say that. Appreciate you, Gator.
Take care, buddy.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Gator McCluskey checking in with us here on the show. Great takes from Gator, as always. He's the best. Appreciate all of his kind words and support. Thunderlip says, you think Breece gets traded by the deadline? I can see Bears going after him. Bears could go after him. I think if he gets traded, though, it's before the season. Because if he's playing well by midseason, I don't think they trade him. And if he's playing like crap, he's going to have no market. So if he's traded, it's before the year, which I don't think will happen. Kyle with a $10 super chat. I appreciate you, my friend. Kyle says, you can say you'd never work in a place where they toss a little person in a Velcro suit, but if you say you'd never interview there just to see what you're going on, you're lying. #Wolf. Great quote there from my good friend Kyle Clifton. Kyle, appreciate the $10 super chat. Again, keep the questions coming. Appreciate those. You can call into the show with the pinned comment at the top of the chat. Connor Long in for Jake Asman here on the Saturday edition of the Jake Asman Show. You want to find my work, you could do so in the YouTube description down below. Subscribe to my channel, NY Flight Jets Talk. Appreciate all of your support. As always, let's keep it going with your calls. Nathan is up next here on the show. Nathan, what is going on?
Hi, how you doing?
Hey, can't complain. How's your weekend?
Going good. So, I have 2 points that I want to talk about.
All right.
First, the Breece Hall stuff that you were talking about. What do you think the reason is that he was so much better in 2023 than he was in 2024? Because, yeah, just like you, I thought he was like top 5 running back 2023, young and ascending. And last year, it was just so disappointing. He was so much less explosive. And I don't know if he was injured, but the speed was not there, the acceleration, the vision. It was just all regressing. So what do you think the issue was, and how do you think his 2025 season is going to be?
So one of the main things is there were knee injuries involved these past 2 years with Breece Hall, and I think that's one of the reasons his speed and acceleration has been hindered. That's number 1. Number 2, when Zach Wilson was his quarterback, so Breece Hall finished 2nd in the league in receiving yards for a running back in 2023, just behind Christian McCaffrey. He finished like 15 in rushing yards. I think a lot of it had to do with Zach Wilson was his quarterback in 2023 and a lot of dump offs, and that's what had him, collect over 1,500 in all-purpose yards. Last year, Aaron Rodgers didn't go the dump off route with a lot of his running backs. So those 2 main things, I think the knee injuries hindered his speed and acceleration, and didn't get as many dump off opportunities to create after the catch and create in space like he did with Zach Wilson.
Yeah. So how do you think he's going to bounce back in 2025? And have a season more like 2023?
I think he will. You look at what the Detroit Lions kind of implemented with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. You're hoping Tanner Engstrand could come in and do the same with Breece Hall and Braylon Allen. So I have confidence that this coaching staff, based on their prior ventures, is able to come in and create a scheme tailored around getting Breece Hall in space and allowing him to be explosive and make plays.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. The only like thing to go against that is that last year Breece Hall was basically getting all of our carries. We were just force feeding him the ball whenever. We didn't run the ball often, but when we did, it was all him. But this year, I think that with, if we play more like the Lions do, where they had, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs really splitting up those carries a lot, I don't think that Breece Hall is going to be getting all the carries. I think Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis are going to be getting some of those. So I don't think he's going to have, well, he might have a similar amount of opportunities just because of how much more we're going to run the ball. But I think that the opportunities will be split up a lot more than they were last year. So it won't be as easy to, get on a roll since he's not getting every single carry in a possession.
I understand what you're saying, Nathan. You got any final thoughts here?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention how I think that the safety position is such a underlooked need. Everyone talks about wide receiver and D tackle depth, but outside of an unproven what's his name, Andre Sisco, we don't really have anyone back there. We might have to start Malachi Moore, Tony Adams, just no one who's proven at all. And I know it's the same with those other two positions, but I just think the safety position's a big worry right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, our good friend Nathan checking in here on the show. Great call by Nathan. Appreciate his support here on the show. Again, you guys can load up your calls with the pinned comment at the top of the chat. Keep the questions coming. We'll go a little longer here on this Saturday afternoon. Connor Long in for Jake Asman here on the Jake Asman Show. Keep the questions coming. Super chats will cut the line and come up immediately. If you want to call into the show, you can do so with the pinned comment at the top of the chat. I don't know what this is. My mic just randomly keeps muting. I guess whenever I click a command button on my laptop, I don't know what it is with this this monitor here that my mic keeps muting. But I digress. Let's go back to the phone lines, and now we head up to the lair.
Right now, we're getting some gabagool. If you really want some gabagool, you gotta come get the gabagool. Catch you later.
Beast, are you there? Beast was right in the camera right before I played that intro. And now he is no longer there. Beast, are you there? Beast.
Would you silence, or should I do one of these?
Beast was there right before I played the intro, and then it looks like he disappeared up in the attic. So, Beast, when you come back, we will bring you back here on the show. But appreciate you all again. Now that Beast is idle, there's no one on hold. So whoever calls in will come up on the line right away. So appreciate that. Boomtown's top 3 call of all time. Beast, what are your thoughts? I think I heard a yes. I think I heard a yes. Appreciate you all again here on this Saturday afternoon. Gonna wrap up here soon, so get your final questions, comments, thoughts, super chats, memberships in before we go. Last chance if you want to call into the show with the pinned comment located at the top of the chat. You guys got anything exciting going on for the rest of the weekend? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I am doing a show on my Brooklyn Nets channel at 2 o'clock after this with a Nets insider, Lucas Kaplan from Nets Daily. That'll be at 2 o'clock. And then I have to study for final exams, which is not fun. Not fun. Studying for 8th grade final exams. I think I have history on Monday, so I got to study for history. English on Tuesday, Spanish on Wednesday, graduation Thursday, and then I head home, and I'm done starting Friday. So appreciate you all. So yes, there it is. There's the list, Jay, and I believe I am on the invite list for Lil Joey's birthday party. One more question here before we go back to the calls. Jay says, Connor, how many wins do you think Jets could get this year? I have them going 8-9. I think with a scheme tailored around Justin Fields, he could win 8 games. Absolutely. I think they can win 9, 10 games. I just kind of settle in the middle there between 8 and 9. When you look at, if you're looking at the glass half full, you're in the 8 to 10 win range. If you're looking at the glass half empty, you could be looking from 3 to 5 wins. I think the floor is 4 and 13. I think the ceiling's 10 and 7. I have them finishing kind of right in the middle, at 8 and 9. Next up, though, here on the hotline is the great PBM, Purple Belt Mike, who joins us here on the show. PBM, what is going on, brother?
What up? I just want to give a shout out for you covering Jake's show.
That.
And this is my shirt I got last night at the Weekend concert.
Oh,
you a
hey
fan
now.
of the Weekend?
What?
Are you a fan of the Weekend?
Some of the Weekend songs are solid. What was I gonna say? I like the Hill. I like the 2015 album. Like there's some good songs on there.
Starboy is good too.
I like. Starboy's interesting. My favorite song's probably "Can't Feel My Face." That's probably my favorite Weekend song.
Yeah,
if I had to pick one.
His concert was awesome, man. It was at Jet Life. So
okay,
if anyone wants to go tonight, I think it's the last day. So make sure you go.
No, so who'd you go with?
My wife.
Nice. And what time did you get back? You're a Long Island guy, so couldn't imagine that.
I think it was like 1:30.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's solid.
It took like maybe a half hour to get out of the parking lot, which in retrospect is not that bad because sometimes like the Broncos game last year with the rain, it took an hour plus just to get out of the parking lot. So
wow,
that's
that's
that bad.
Insane. Yeah,
dude. The
going to
parking lot
MetLife
at MetLife Stadium is horrendous. It's easily the worst parking lot out of all the stadiums. UBS sucks, but it ain't as bad as that. Citi Field sucks, but it's not as bad as MetLife. MetLife is the worst.
And the worst part is the Jets will never get their own stadium somewhere in New York.
Dude, we should open up in Long Island.
I'm telling you, the Snowball had like a whole plan. I remember last year he had like
There's some guy organizing it. There was like a hearing for the National
like a
Coliseum.
congressman.
No, he's a wannabe congressman.
Oh, okay. I was about to say,
but he presented it to actual like Nassau County officials. There's a whole-
wow, where was it?
Are you in the Discord?
Yeah.
All right, so I'll send the page there, and then you can see it. It's like a
Wow.
legit thing. He like has people signing petitions or whatever.
That's crazy.
And I don't know if you know the UFC fighter Al Iaquinta. Do you know him?
No, I don't watch UFC. I know like the main ones, but I don't know him. Yeah.
So he's a Long Island guy, a Sarah guy too, actually. But
Yeah.
he is like promoting it because he's a big Jets fan.
Oh wow.
So it's getting a lot of views because he obviously is famous.
It's just so hard to get people on and off the island. I think that would be the biggest problem.
Yeah, but they have the space there.
Also, the thing is, the facility they just brand new in Florham Park, so it's like that's
They're gonna knock it down anyway for a casino. That's the whole thing. Like Sands was gonna do a casino. And
Where?
That's like the vote for Nassau Coliseum.
No. I'm saying the Jets have their practice facility in Florham Park.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It's brand new, like a state of the art facility. So that's
I would say it's just going to the game would be kind of what all of us on Long Island do: travel to a game, a 2-hour drive.
Yep, absolutely. So, I doubt it'll happen, but that's the dream.
I would love it. That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
Are you a
for
Long
sure.
Island guy too?
Yeah, I'm Nassau County.
Oh, dude, so that'd be a home run for you.
For
Nassau
sure.
Coliseum to the Jets. Oh my
They,
god,
they'd have to knock it down like that. They'd have to put 80,000 seats in there.
Oh yeah. It would be built, but here we go with the waste because we got Citi Field and Yankee Stadium with no tops on it and big enough. Like, I don't know why the Jets should have teamed up with the Mets and the Giants should have teamed up with the Yankees.
Or like leave MetLife Stadium to the Giants. Like their practice facilities literally right next to MetLife. It was giant. Like it's meant for the Giants, not the Jets.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
Absolutely. PBM, have a great weekend. Appreciate
Peace
your call.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, PBM checking in here on the show. Appreciate all of his support here on the program. We're going to wrap up here shortly. So again, last chance to get your questions, comments, thoughts in the chat before we do wrap up here on the show. Yeah, no public. That's the tough part. And Long Island Nets play there. I don't want the home of the Long Island Nets to be. I'm just playing. I know I was gonna rev some people's engines when I said that. They would take away the home of the Long Island Nets, which is never good. Never want to be messing with the Long Island Nets. Never want to be messing with the Long Island Nets. So, hey, move to New York. Don't take away the home of the wonderful Long Island Nets. That's what I'll say. That's what I'll say. Again, appreciate you all tuning in here on the Saturday edition of the Jake Asman Show. Connor Long filling in for Jake Asman. Appreciate you all. Smash that like button, hit subscribe. You can find my work in the description down below at NY Flight Jets Talk on YouTube. If you're interested in some basketball talk, I'm doing a live stream in 45 minutes with Lucas Kaplan of Nets Daily on a new Nets channel that I started up called The Brooklyn Boys Show with Josh Wolliver. We are at 122 subs. We've only been going for 4 days now, so please go subscribe over there if you can. The Brooklyn Boys Show on YouTube. We're going live. I'm going live over there in a little, so you want to come hang out, talk some NBA hoops, talk some Brooklyn Nets hoops. You can do so by subscribing to The Brooklyn Boys Show. Appreciate you all here on the show, and Gator makes a great point. He says, Mets, Jets, Nets. Connor, you will never be happy. Exactly. I mean, the Nets are the craziest one. The Nets have been around since 76 and haven't won one championship. I question, after they didn't win with the big three, I question if they will ever bring home an NBA title. That's what I question. And the Mets have at least been fun this year, and they were fun last year. I'll give them that. Alan says, do people go to the Long Island Nets? I'm not even joking. I have not been to a Long Island Nets game. I see the clips on Twitter, though, like the highlights or whatever. There are probably under 100 people at every game. Probably, which I don't even know how they make money renting the Coliseum from that. So, it has to be under 100 every game. Absolutely. So, yeah, the Long Island Nets can't be bringing in much money by renting the Coliseum for sure. But anyways, when you're talking about the Long Island Nets on a Jet show in June, you know it's time to wrap things up here. Appreciate you all again. Thank you so much for all your support. Thanks so much to Jake for this opportunity. Super happy to be back here again here on the show. Shout out to all you AsManiacs in the chat. You were the best. Connor Long filling in for Jake Asman here on this Saturday edition of the Jake Asman Show. Have a great rest of your weekend, everyone. And in honor of the Twitter beef that has been going on the past few days, we'll have Elon Musk play us out here on this Saturday afternoon. Connor Long signing off. Have a great weekend, everyone. And as always, JTS, Jets, Jets, Jets.
I believe we have the founder of Twitter calling in, Elon Musk. So this should be interesting. Elon?
Hey, Jake. Elon Musk here. Just wanted to let you know that I purchased the New York Jets today. You'll be excited to know that they will now be called the New York X. I decided to make this announcement from V-Man's house as I know how much he loves me. Let's go, X.
So what's up? It's killing me. I'm just muttering randomly, but honestly, I don't. Sorry, I am just joking.
Let's go, X.
El burro. Elon? Thanks for the time. He's gone. Oh, what just happened? What the hell just happened there? Oh, my God. That's got to be a Gator masterpiece, right? I mean, come on now. Elon Musk from V-Man's room. Calling the Jets X now. I don't think you could do that, Elon. I don't know what that was. The last thing we need right now is his distraction buying the team. Elon Musk calling in from V-Man's house. Yeah, the Weepa being in there from V-Man. Oh, my God. Maybe some of Gator's best. The New York X. Good luck, any caller trying to top that one.
Look, guys, I don't know how else to say this. Fact of the matter is the team has almost no chance to win this week unless you click on the like button. Also, be sure you're subscribed to the Jake Asman Show. Let's do this. Go Jets.